Hey y'all, so I just wanted to talk about something real quick. I've really, people don't tell you when you're going through spiritual warfare and things that don't really make sense in this world, how hard it really can be. I was adopted at 4 years old, and I thought that that was going to change my life forever in a positive way because I really didn't have anybody, and my life wasn't really, conventionally good. And when I got adopted, I thought that my life was going to change forever for the best, and it really wasn't that for me. It was hard. It was strenuous. I got abused mentally, physically, emotionally, and I didn't know that on the other side there was a lot of spiritual shit going on as well. And for the longest time, I felt just trapped in a lot of different ways that I couldn't understand. I didn't understand it at all. Growing up, I was, very I guess religious in a sense. I went to Catholic school and stuff like that. My grandma, always told me to go to church, so I went to church with her, and I started to learn about God and what it really meant. But I didn't really understand it until I got older and what God really meant to me and the universe really meant to me. But growing up, my mom wasn't really religious, so it was kind of like I only knew what my grandma was saying and my grandparents were saying, and I took a lot of that with me because I did believe, and I do believe in God. So it really helped me from getting into trouble, getting into things, and not having faith and not having hope. It really gave me a sense of direction, growing up. But as I got older, I started to realize a lot more spiritual stuff was happening, and I couldn't, wrap my mind around, why my life was looking the way it was. As I got older, I started to find out that my mom was, into a lot of different things. And the way people perceive themselves to be is not how they really truly live. And I think it's all an image based thing because growing up, I thought my mom was, you know, somebody I should look up to and whatever not. But as I got older and we started to, get into fights and we started to, turn into the people we are now, I started to realize she's living a different life than I want to live. And she was trying to conform me into a life that wasn't my own. And I felt like a lot of parents do that to their kids where they try to project a lot of things onto them and try to make them into something they're not. And you feel like you gotta abide by those rules because they're your parents, but not realizing that my mom wasn't the person that I should look up to. And I'm saying this because she was dibbling and dabbling into things that I feel like really affected my life and her life. And she won't ever really tell me this, but I have this, spirit of discernment and God by my side to know the truth. And I was always around, spiritual shops and stuff like that and things of that nature, but I never really understood it, so I never really dibbled and dabbled in that stuff. I kind of just stuck to what I knew, and that was God and my faith. And I'm so glad I did that. But as I got older, I felt like people were trying to manipulate me. People were trying to slow me down. People were trying to, inhabit these fears into my soul. And because they felt fear. And a lot of our parents, they put fear onto us because they are afraid as well. Not realizing that's not even your own fear. It's just a projection that they're trying to make you feel because they don't want you to grow into who you actually are. And they don't want you to find out things that they've been doing for a while because they regret a lot of things that they've done. But for some reason, they can't, get right with our Creator. And so growing up, it was really me figuring out that my whole life was a lie. And people used me for their own advantage, if that makes sense. I don't really want to specify, but yeah, people use me for their own advantage. Energy is real, bro. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't know who's going through similar things, but I feel like spirituality is real, energy is real, and being very discerning and cautious about where you put your energy is very important. A lot of people don't know why I don't talk to my mom and why I don't talk to my family is because of a lot of spiritual things that I feel that a lot of people will tell me isn't real. But I know it's real because I've seen it, I felt it, and I just know it. You just know when something is off. When I used to walk into the house, my own house, I used to just feel very dark energy, and I used to feel very, my energy used to change. It'd be like I'd be happy, I'd be feeling good, and then all of a sudden I walk into the house and I'm depressed, and I'm having turmoil, I'm feeling all these things, and I just never felt safe. And when you're in your family's life, people say you're supposed to feel safe with your family and you're supposed to feel wanted. And I didn't feel like I was wanted. I felt like I was just there. I was just there for their own convenience. And so I had to leave. And when I left, right before I left, I ended up hitting my head and I got a very, bad concussion or whatever. And I ended up losing everything. When I tell you everything, it was around COVID too. So I felt like the world was ending. And God never, people don't really tell you, like, when you start to lose everything is when you start to get closer. And it's not just lose everything in a bad way. It's lose everything that doesn't need to be there. God will cleanse you when you start to find who you are. And sometimes it feels like your world is falling apart, but really it was never supposed to be there in the first place. It was only to lead you to exactly that point in life. And once that point in life is there, God takes it away because you no longer need it. And so that's kind of what happened. And I lost my grandparents, ended up hitting my head, everything just crumbled down. I ended up moving. We ended up losing a house. Like, things was just really bad. And I could have really went negative and I could have just, said, fuck all of this. But I really tapped in and I started to understand and started to, educate myself more on the frequency of energy in the world and what it actually means. And when I started to figure out and see and look at myself in the mirror and see my reflection, I realized that I was chosen in my mom's life because I'm adopted for one reason alone, and that was just to be energy harvested. And that really hurt me because I realized that it wasn't really about the love. My mom never really showed me love emotionally. She just couldn't. And I used to resent it. I used to be so mad about it. But when I realized that there's good parts and there's bad parts of this world, and just like God uses his kids and his children to do the work of the light, the devil uses his people for the dark, and it could be in your own family. And so once I realized that, I learned how to accept it for what it was and realize that everything happens for a reason. And sometimes you don't understand why it's happening, but it's a journey, and you have to be a strong soul at that. And I don't know who's going through any spiritual warfare or anything like that, but just keep your head up. The enemy wants to keep your head down. He wants you to lose everything. He wants you to feel like the world is crumbling down in front of your face. But I'm telling you, like, it's going to get better, even if it doesn't seem like it in the end. I lost so much. My whole life was just survival mode. Since I was 2 till now, I've only known survival mode because of the people that were in my life. They never really wanted me to live. They just wanted me to exist. And I'm fighting this battle because I want to live. You see what I'm saying? I'm tired of just surviving. But I guess I was put in their life just to survive and, get used for the energy that I carry. And you never really know the energy you carry, but the reason why people are jealous all the time around you, the reason why people want to manipulate you and stop you and make you, basically against yourself is because they know the power that you hold. They know that you're a chosen one. They know that you have the vibration of a lifetime that they can't hone into. And so they use you and they manipulate you and they make you feel like you're not enough. And they tell you all these things that are not true, and they put fear into your heart. And you start to believe it after a while. And this is why you have to uncondition yourself from everything you've ever known, because it's always been a lie. And I realized my whole life has just been a fucking lie. And not because I'm lying to myself, because the people around me refuse to tell me the truth. And so I asked, what was really going on. And my mom ended up telling me, certain things. She kind of ratted on herself, and she said, I'm sorry for leaving you with people. I'm sorry for certain things that I didn't even realize, I didn't recollect. And she didn't want to tell me the truth, but I already knew that sorry meant that explained everything to me. That I was chosen, like how you pick groceries off of Instacart. That's kind of what adoption is, in a sense. You just swipe and see what kids you want, and you choose them. And I didn't realize that it's an energy thing. A lot of kids get hurt in the system because people want to hurt these kids, and they want to steal their vibrational codes from these kids. The reason why people kill people and kill children and traffic children is because they're trying to steal their energy. Energy is so important. Even the reason why we work in this world is to use up our time, which is our energy, for money. That's how important energy is in this world. And we don't even really think about it because we're trained to just do this shit. We're trained to just live this life. But if you really realize how powerful energy is, people say money goes round, money makes the world go round. No, it's energy. Energy makes the world go round. You see what I'm saying? The reason why we have all these corporations is because we give these corporations what? Our energy. And so once I realized that, I really stepped back, and I had to really reevaluate everything in my life. And I'm at that season again where I feel like I'm pushed against the wall, and I don't know what to do. And I'm not trying to say this to have pity on me. God says never play the victim, even if you are one, because God is always by your side. But I really want to tell my story in the sense of, being a kid from the system and having nothing, and then ending back in the system. My mom said something that really hurt my soul. She was like, you were already fucked up before I got you. Mind you, I was only 4, and there was nothing wrong with me. It was the fact of she's projecting everything that was wrong with her before she got me. And I took it, and I held on to that for so long, not realizing that it was not even my pain. A lot of things that you're holding on to are not even your own. You just don't realize it because you love these people, and you want them to change, and you want them to grow, and you want them to flourish. But they don't want that for you, bro. They don't want that for you in general. And you have to realize that, being good in this world and being nice is cool, but you have to have the armor on. You have to have your protection on at all times. And I'm still learning how to do that. I'm not perfect. I'm only 24, so I'm still learning. We're all learning, but this is real. And I have a lot more things to tell y'all, but I really just want you to know a glimpse of just how real it is. And I don't really talk about it that much because it affected me in so many ways that honestly, I don't want to open the door to that. But you got to face yourself. You got to face your fears. You got to face the things that hurt you, And you got to be real with yourself. And I wish that people would tell people this. I wish that people had more compassion and understood how real it is, because it affected my life in so many ways. And all I was trying to do is just keep my head up above water and just do what I had to do, keep my head down, not do too much. But that's what they want from you. They don't want you to shine. They don't want your light to be vibrant. They don't want your light to impact people, to change the frequency of the world, because then it affects them, and they have to deal with the consequences, and they have to look at themselves in the mirror. And why do that when they know who they are in their heart? That's why God says it's not about the image, it's about your heart. God will talk to you one day, and he's not going to look at you. He's going to look at your heart. So don't let this world taint you, no matter how much you're going through, no matter how much you feel like you can't take it. You know, I don't know where I'm gonna go in a few months. A lot of things are, you know, closing in tight. I ain't got really anything to my name, and it kind of makes me upset because I've just been struggling my whole life. But I want to tell somebody this because a lot of people don't talk about spiritual stuff. They'll tell you, oh, you know, this and that, but they won't really tell you the real shit. They won't tell you the real shit, and that's the problem in this world. Is that we're going through real shit, and everybody just want to lie and cheat and do crazy shit. It's not gonna get you far, bro. It might get you somewhere for some time. You might be able to hurt me for some time, but I'm going to catch on because I got God by my side. And once you catch on to what they're doing, you have a choice on whether you're going to accept it or you're gonna move accordingly, even if it takes everything from you, bro. And so, whoever's going through this, I just want you to know, keep your head up, stay strong, keep your faith up, pray every day, and know that things are gonna change because they have to. And yeah, peace, y'all.